Welcome to the Journey Boldly podcast. My name is Dr. Gwen. I'm your host, and I'm so excited you tuned in for this episode. Well, this is the podcast where you decide the content. When you ask a question about women leading in higher education, I use my 30 years in higher ed as an administrator, as a faculty member, as well as the work that I've done talking to faculty, talking to administrators, presidents, provosts, deans, chairs, and program directors, as well as students, and also the 17 years I've been a business owner. My business is Quality Measures, who sponsors this podcast. We are a company that specializes in external evaluation and leadership development. So thank you again for joining, and I'm going to get right into the podcast. Before I share with you the question that was asked for this particular content, I want to share with you a story. In 1993, I enrolled in a master's degree program. At that time, I was married to my high school sweetheart. I had 3 beautiful children, ages 5, 4, and 11 months. I was very involved in my church. I was the praise and worship leader. I helped lead intercessory prayer, and I also cleaned the church on Saturdays. So with all of this going on in my life, I thought I was doing a really good job. So 3 years later, I graduated with my master's degree and decided to enroll in the doctoral program. When I enrolled in the doctoral program, I knew there was going to be too much on my plate, so I decided to become a full-time doctoral student, and I quit my job. Unfortunately, that wasn't enough because I also ended up losing my marriage. So here I was, working in the church as a choir director for children. That had changed, but I was still helping out wherever I could and going to school full-time for a doctorate degree with children who were now 9 years old, 8 years old, and 4 years old. Yes, I was a single mother, full-time doctoral student, making $800 a month as a graduate assistant with 3 little children. And what I learned is work-life balance depends on where you are in life, what your priorities are, and what you're willing to sacrifice to be there. Now, I didn't realize I was sacrificing my marriage. I was just looking for the fulfillment that I wanted and didn't realize that my marriage was suffering. So, as we go into this episode, I want to talk about thinking through where you are in life, what are your priorities, how do you recalibrate and reset them. Now, before I get into explaining that, I want to read at least one definition. As I talk about work, life, and synergy, I want to start with the definition of synergy. Synergy is the concept where combined elements produce a total effect greater than the sum of the individual parts. Now, when you talk about work and life, for me, I've learned over the years that as I have gone through trial and error, getting it right, getting it wrong, losing things I wanted to keep and keeping things I should have lost, I've learned that my work must align with the life I want. If your work does not align with the life you want, then there's a need to recalibrate and reprioritize. With my business, I love coming to work. It's not a case for me where Friday starts the weekend and I'm really excited to leave, or Monday starts a work week and oh my gosh, I got to go to work. I love all of it. And my life with my family, I love my children, I love my grandchildren, and all of my life works together for me to have the life that I want. I believe that every 10 years we should stop and reevaluate our priorities and see if they are aligned with our current values. What you valued in your 20s will be different from what you value in your 30s and your 40s and so forth and so on. Also, what you're trying to accomplish at a certain time in your life determines what your values are. And so what I would suggest that you do is sit quietly and write down what your values are. Prioritize them, and then ask yourself, honestly, Are you living your life every day that's aligned with your values? When looking at the values that you have and whether or not they align with how you live your life every day, think about what brings you joy. What brings you fulfillment? How do you show up and excited about the day? Do you wake up excited about what you're going to do that day? Because the fulfilling life that you want for yourself exists. If it does not exist, let's do something different. Okay, how do we do that? First, you have to acknowledge, number one, that your life is currently designed for the life you have. Your life is currently designed for the results you're getting. If these are not the results you want, then you have to change your life. Now, I'm thinking about Smith and Connor's work on accountability. I like to think of accountability as different from responsibility. Most times people use responsibility and accountability interchangeably, but I see them as two completely different things. Stay with me now. I'm not getting off track. Number one, responsibility is when you take ownership of what you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to behave, and what you're supposed to accomplish. That's responsibility. Accountability is when you take ownership of the results of what you did or didn't do, what you accomplished or didn't accomplish, or how you behaved or didn't behave. So responsibility is taking ownership of what you're supposed to do, and accountability is taking ownership of the results of what you were supposed to do. So looking at the results, that's in the accountability lane. So we're going to be talking accountability. Now, back to Smith and Connor's work. Smith and Connor have a pyramid. At the very top of the pyramid is called results. Right below the results is called actions. And we are very familiar with this. We know that whatever actions you take or don't take gives you the results you get or don't get. But below the actions are two other pieces that we typically don't give a lot of thought. The first is beliefs. What we believe about how we act determines the results we're going to get. If we're not looking at what we believe that informs our actions, then we will continue to act in ways that we may or may not understand why we're doing it, but don't understand why we can't change to get the results we want. Now let's look at what beliefs can do. Beliefs are choices we make about experiences that we have had or not had. After beliefs, at the very bottom of the pyramid, which is the base, are our experiences. Our experiences go a long way in determining what we believe. As a matter of fact, our experiences are so powerful to shaping our belief system that a lot of times we don't even question our beliefs because our experiences have informed them. And our experiences say, this has happened, therefore you must act this way in order to get these results. Okay, let's take an experience and take it through the pyramid. One of the jobs I had was no matter what I did, it wasn't right. Back in the day, we had Selectric 3 typewriters. And if you're familiar with those, when you're typing, if you make a mistake, there was a correct tape that you could backspace, use the correct tape, click the same character, and it would take it off the page, and then click the correct character, and then it would correct it. The guy who was my boss, he would take everything I typed, hold it up to a lamp, find where I used the correct tape, tell me to retype it. Now, that might not sound harsh to you, but in light of a lot of other little cuts that was happening in that job, that was significant. Constant challenging of everything I did and everything I said. And even when I was as meticulous beyond the expectation, there was still something wrong I did. So what did I learn? I learned that no matter how good you try to be, you must not make any mistakes in order to be considered good at your job, in order to be considered competent. So I formed that belief from those experiences. As I took on other jobs, what do you think I did? Try to be perfect. Nothing could be wrong. No errors could be made. You had to find everything. So I learned to become nitpicky. I became very, very meticulous and very detail oriented. And that's good in some cases, but I also formed the ability, which was very frustrating for a lot of people, to only notice what was out of place. So my ability to demonstrate appreciation for what was right, good, and already working, I had to become more and more intentional about doing that. So the results I was getting is that people thought that I didn't appreciate them. People thought that I didn't appreciate what they did. And so I had to learn how to intentionally appreciate people, because this pyramid that says my experiences of being dinged every time I did something that was a human mistake turned into a belief that I can't make any, which means my actions started making me look for other people's mistakes, which resulted in people thinking that I didn't appreciate them because I only saw what was wrong. What am I saying? That is how we form our results. If I wanted different results, I had to do something different. So I didn't just have to change my actions, I had to change my beliefs. And then how I changed my beliefs, I had to change my experiences. So I started creating experiences with people I appreciated, and I started encouraging them and saying how I appreciated them. And that started giving me some different results. What does that have to do with work-life synergy? Everything. If you have work that is not part of the mission and vision for your life, then you need to recalibrate, because somewhere along the line, you believed that work and fulfillment of life are two different things. You go to work, you should be just as excited because it's built into the life you see as fulfilling. The kind of work you do should matter to the life you want. And if it doesn't, then it's time to either start looking for different work and making that transition, or decide or figure out how the work you are doing is also contributing to the work-life balance that you want. It may not be the work itself. It might be the people. It might be the environment in which you're working. And start looking more intentionally, intensively, and informatively at where you are and how your work aligns with, or does not align with, the life you want. It's very, very critical that you do that, because your life's mission should not just include work. It should include all the 7 pillars of life. Your social relationships should be listed among what you enjoy and find joy in doing, and who you spend time with, because it's critical to your life's mission and the vision that you have for yourself. How you help others should be built into that as well. If working with other people is too taxing and demanding because of who they are or where they are in their life, you need to start weaning yourself from them. That might sound harsh, but that is the reality. Either you keep doing what you're doing and getting what you're getting, or you do something different to get something different. In addition to social relationships, your finances. If your financial life is set up so that you can't make the changes you need to make, then you have to revisit what you can change. Do you need to do more consulting work? Do you need to write a book and get revenue from that? Do you need to change your job description, get a promotion? Change what you're doing. If your life is built on the financial structure that you have right now, then you have to look at how to readjust your financial structure. And that's usually done in basically 2 ways. Increase your revenue Maybe do some consulting, maybe become a guest speaker, maybe do some side work or something of that nature. Get a grant to do some work that is of interest to you and that is centered around the mission and vision for your life and what's fulfilling for you. And the second thing is to reduce expenses. You would be amazed at how much we spend on things that's just nice to have, or that is basically convenient. Your spiritual life. What is going on in your spiritual life? Do you spend time in meditation? Do you spend time with God as you intend, or you know that you need to spend more time? Most of what we need to do, we know it. We just haven't adjusted our lives to include it. And if you want something different, and I'll probably say that a few more times in this episode, you have to do something different. Your health. If you're not paying attention to your health, it is going to definitely impact this work-life synergy that you are seeking to have. You need to look at how you're eating, if you're exercising, if you're too sedentary in your job, if you're standing up a lot or too much and you need to get more rest, the quality of your sleep. Regardless of what it is, you need to look at what are you contributing to or not contributing to a healthy lifestyle. Looking at family. Are you spending the quality time that you want to have with your family? Remember, work-life synergy is about where you are in life right now, whatever this phase is. And some things can stay, but some things can go, and you can do it later. Finally, as I wrap up this episode, I would like to encourage you to take care of yourself. We, as women, particularly, have been trained, socialized, and raised to take care of other people first. And that is okay if you have what you need. But if you don't have what you need, then you won't be able to help people effectively. It will contribute to your frustration, and it will also make you continuously feel that your life is out of balance and you're not experiencing the synergy that you really need to have a fulfilling life. Remember that whatever you have is all you have to give. And if you're constantly giving to others without taking care of yourself, you will burn out. You will be drained, and you don't have to be. Look at your values and determine if you're living them every day. In your family, in your social life, in your work, as aligned with the mission and vision you have for your life. I implore you to do this because the mission and vision that you have for your life, I believe, was given to you by your Creator. And as long as you keep it out of alignment, I believe that you're not honoring your Creator as well as you could. So let's look at the mission and vision we have for our lives. Look at the values we have for our lives. Determine how we're honoring them every day. And if we're not, reevaluate how we're living every day and reset and recalibrate. Your experiences can be recreated to influence the beliefs that you've chosen to have, which will change the actions you engage and give you different results based on what you're seeking and needing to live a fulfilling life. I hope this information has helped you. Again, thank you for your questions. I'm looking forward to getting more so we can continue to provide responses and episodes. Again, if you have a question, you can email me at drgwen@journeyboldlypodcast.com, or you can go to the website at www.journeyboldlypodcast.com and submit your questions there. Thank you again, and I hope to see you at the next episode.